Okay, in this video, I want to create the effect of a magnifier lens like this that magnifies in real time. All right. What are the elements of my composition? I have the paper, which is this, and then I have the magnified paper that has the magnifier effect, and then I have the actual magnifier built here in After Effects. But the zooming effect would follow the position of the magnifier through an expression. That way, I can move both the magnifier object and the zooming effect together at the same time, and I'll be able to get this in real time. And once I do get it working in real time, I can animate it as I like. So I'm going to start over with a new composition, and I'm going to bring in a paper sheet that I prepared earlier in Photoshop that is just this print screen of a help file in After Effects. So it's just a JPEG printed with print screen, pasted over a new document, and imported over here. So we'll go back to the composition and we bring it down. Let's call this paper. So that's the first step. The second step is to duplicate this and call this paper magnified. Magnified. And I'm gonna go to Effect, Distort, and I'm gonna choose the Magnify effect. The Magnify effect has a center that I can move around, and this will magnify whatever you are over. You can increase the magnification, but you should not move the actual layer, you should move the center. So you click here and you would move the center, and this will create the magnification effect. Now you can also feather the edges of that so that it's not very strong if you like, but it's not very important in our case. That's the magnification factor. And what else? We can change the size if we like. I'm going to keep it the way it is right now. The important thing though is now to set the center to 0, 0. So now the center of the magnification effect is here. I'll align everything to 0, 0. I'll create the expression with the 0 placement, and then I'll be able to move things around. That will not create any offsets between the magnifier object and the magnifier effect, because I'm setting everything at 0 in the right place. Once they are set, I can then move them around. So I put this at 0. That's the paper magnified. Now I need to create the actual magnifier. So I'll deselect everything, and I will create a circle. So ellipse, create a circle like this. All right, and make sure that caps lock is not on. And that's my circle here. I need the fill to be 0, and I need to have a stroke. So I click on fill and choose none, and I increase the stroke size like this, and I click on stroke and choose it to be a radial gradient, and I press OK. Now I click here to specify the gradient. I need it to be black, white, and black, or at least gray. Now I can actually change the position of that gradient like this to create a metallic effect for this. Alright, and I can actually bring in the colors closer to squeeze in that gradient. Now make sure that it's a radial gradient. Alright, something like this is okay. Alright, now let's see the transform of this ellipse. So we're going to open the ellipse 1 and go to transform. We see that the position is not 0, 0. That's the big problem. It should be 0, 0 first of all. So we set it to 0. So now it's centered to the layer. So I will go to the transform of the actual layer now, and set the position also to 0 and 0, and this will take it exactly at the place of the magnify effect. So I open the transform ellipse now, and I would scale it up a little bit so that it fits the size of the magnified effect. So now that we have both in place, what we need to do is link them together so that the magnifier effect would move with the motion of the ellipse. Is this clear? So where's the magnifier effect? We go to transform, we go actually to the effect and center. That's the center that would control. We're not moving the layer, we're moving the center of the magnified effect. The layer is still static. So what we need to do to the center is give it an expression. So I'll press Alt and click. So now we need to give it an expression. This should follow what? This should follow the position of this layer. So shape layer, I'm going to call it magnifier, because I'm going to be selecting the layer and moving it. Therefore, I need to go to transform and position, which so far is also at 0, 0. So I click on my pick whip from here, and I release over the position like that. So now I have my expression. Let's see if it works. If I grab the magnifier and I lock this and that, so that only the magnifier can be moved, and I move the magnifier, I would see that this will follow it perfectly without any unwanted offset anywhere I take it. So that's really the gist of it. I have the solution working. What I still need to do is add the stem and add the drop shadow effect. But you see that it works in real time because of the precise placement of everything. Now it doesn't really matter where you put it when you create the stem. So we're gonna select the magnifier, we open the content, and we have so far ellipse 1. So with this selected, we're gonna add a rectangle, and the rectangle will be added to the magnifier because it was selected. So we need to remove the stroke from here, so I'll set it to none, and we need to give it a fill, so I'll set it to a linear gradient. I click on the gradient, and I need to have a brownish color here, and also brown there, but not too dark. And this one should be, say, darker brown, like this. And maybe here I'm going to have a highlight, so I'm going to make it really shiny from here. And this one, darken it up a little bit. And that one goes like this. And then I can actually play with the gradient until I can place the highlight where I want, and I can actually scale it. Alright, something like this is okay. And I can go like this, and then scale the whole thing inwards. And I need to place the gradient below the ellipse, sorry, the rectangle below the ellipse like this, because I want to bring it over here. I can create a connector if I like, but it's not that important. So now whenever I move this, both will move at the same time, and if I rotate, alright, that's not a perfect circle. I can fix that though by going to ellipse and transform ellipse, and actually yeah, the size here should be the same, so I'm going to set it, say, to 180 by 180, and that would make it a perfect circle. Alright, so let's go back here and rotate, so now we get the full thing, and when we move it, it would actually work. And let's take the rectangle and just move it a little bit like this. So from here on, we can select the magnifier and we get the exact effect. The last thing I want to do is add the drop shadow. So I'll select the magnifier, that's very easy, and I'll go to Effect, Perspective, and Drop Shadow, and I'll play with the softness and the distance, and that's the magnifier effect. Now when you add the drop shadow, it gets a little heavier but it adds to the realism of the effect.